in order to be a starter for a Deion Sanders team, you gotta love ball.
Mm.
Ooh.
Hello, and welcome to Updog Sports Talk. My name is Matt Miller. I got Justin McGovern and Chad Bunt. We're gonna
What
go
is
over
up?
college football surprises.
Yeah, and I mean it's been a fun season so far. The Pac-12 is good. The SEC and Big Ten might be bad. So yeah, it's been a fun season so far. But how about we go through some of these undefeated teams here? A few surprising teams in the list. Who's for real? Who's for not? Um, who is not for real? I should say. On the list here, starting off the Syracuse Orange. Are they for real?
I think they are. I mean, if you look at the ACC, there's not a whole lot going on with all the teams there. You have Florida State, you have Clemson competing, even though they're one loss right now. Um, I like Dino Babers. I like his play calling. I think they can get the offense to just continue doing what they're doing, putting points on the board. But I don't think they're going to really compete with Florida State. I think they're going to surprise a lot of people, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're contenders as far as their division goes. With I don't see them contending for a playoff, but they're a pretty decent team. I think they could get a New Year's Eve bowl, possibly.
Yeah, potentially. I don't know. They started out strong last year and kind of faded late. I wonder if the same thing's going to happen once the ACC schedule gets tougher this time around. So I'm not as optimistic. I'm going to say not for real. Next on our list here, let's kind of pull up the list of teams here. How about the Missouri Tigers kicking that 61-yard field goal to upset Kansas State? So obviously their season's already out to a strong start, but and the SEC East might be wide open behind Georgia. Can this team make a step?
They needed a 61-yard field goal to win. So, no, they got lucky. I don't see Missouri really competing. SEC is pretty deep. They're going to get blown out by all top teams.
Yeah, if they have to play Alabama, even though Alabama's not looking that great, Alabama's going to smoke them. I think Georgia's smoke them. I think a lot of these teams, even Tennessee, I'd probably say give them a good run.
I'm not sure if I agree. I mean, Brady Cook is the okay quarterback, but he actually is probably in the top half of SEC quarterbacks, which probably says more about SEC quarterbacks than it does him. I do think the SEC being more mediocre than usual can allow a team like Missouri to get some more wins you would expect. But I mean, I'm looking more like 8-4. Still, I do think they are improved. Next on our list here, let's talk about the UCLA Bruins. Let's have Wake Forest on deck here. So UCLA, they got a stud 5-star freshman QB in Dante Moore, who looks really good. But is that enough? Is that going to get this team in contention for the Pac-12 championship?
No. Colorado and USC are the clear favorites right now. Both teams are playing lights out football. Caleb Williams, Shador Sanders, both in conversation for Heisman. I want to put UCLA up there, but I don't think they have enough. I like Chip Kelly. I think he's good at play calling, but he's going to have him near the top, but I don't think they're going to be competing for a playoff spot or the conference for that matter.
I don't think they're getting through Utah.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what their defense is going to look like against tougher teams. They're hoping to take a step there because the defense was what let them down last year. Also, I'm a little bit disappointed with the offensive line. I thought it'd be one of the best in the conference, but even against Coastal Carolina, I kind of struggled a little bit. So I'm looking to see more out of that. But yeah, I do agree. I think, fifth or sixth in the Pac-12 might be where they are this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then Wake Forest, I mentioned they were on deck. They're 3-0 so far, but struggle with Old Dominion. Is this team going to be for real, or are they are they going to be able to compete in, for top half of the ACC, or are they going to potentially fall off a little bit?
I mean, I love Dave Clawson, but I don't think Wake Forest is gonna be doing a whole lot. Had a little visitor over here. I don't think Wake Forest is gonna do a whole lot in the ACC. They're probably gonna have a decent record, but it's just gonna be typical Wake Forest, Dave Clawson, 8 wins, 9 wins.
Yeah. Middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have to trust in Dave a little bit. I do have a future on them for over 6.5, and I do have to say, when they struggled with Old Dominion, I was a little bit worried about that one. We'll see. I think they can figure it out and manage to win a few games here and there. Maybe approach 8 wins again, but we'll see. So next on our list here, let's talk about Maryland here, and then we can have the Miami Hurricanes here on deck. Colorado, we'll get to them a little bit later, but Maryland, they're 3-0. Kind of got through the non-conference slate like they usually do. Is this the year they can actually potentially take down one of the big three, Ohio State, Michigan, or Penn State?
No. They have good team. They have a good coach. They play Ohio State well. Somehow they actually do stuff, like they actually make some noise in the division, but they're behind. Like there's a clear difference between Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, and the rest of the conference. I was kind of lingering around at fourth, but Maryland, they're going to get blown out. They're probably going to blow out Northwestern. That's the only team they're going to blow out this year.
Yeah,
They
a
do
lot of
not
people are
play.
doing that.
I just looked it up. They do not play Wisconsin, but I would say that they would be competing with Wisconsin for fifth in the division or in the conference.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree with you there. I really like Maryland. I think I like their quarterback a lot, and their offense is really fun to watch when they're on the same page. But you can't like take a program like that, put it up to Michigan, put it up to Penn State, even Wisconsin, Ohio State. These programs they just have undeniable talent, and I don't know if you can get through that. Especially through if you have to. I don't know how many of these teams they have to play in the regular season, but can't imagine having to play 2 or 3 of them getting through, winning all of them.
They may be
Yeah.
able to compete in the ACC, but not in the Big Ten.
Yeah, the ACC is probably where they belong.
I think they're tearing it up in the ACC.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think they're going to get anywhere close to any of the top three. Yeah, I think it's kind of the same story with them. I mean, it is sad because they are pretty exciting at times because they usually tend to have a good quarterback, and Talia has been there for a few years now, has played really well for them. But yeah, they just can't seem to get that next step. So the Miami Hurricanes, though, are they ready to take the next step? One of the biggest problems for them has been offense, but their offense actually looks pretty electric this year. Is that going to get them to the top of the ACC?
Maybe close, but it's the same old story with Miami every year. They start off hot, they fall off. They're not going to get past Florida State. They're not going to get past Clemson. Those are the two teams that you got to get past in the ACC, and I don't think it's going to be even close. I think they're going to fall off and be the same old Miami yet again.
Did they get past North Carolina?
I don't think they do.
I don't think so either. At this point, do they get past Duke?
No.
Duke. We'll talk about Duke a little bit later. The next on our list here, we got Utah up here, and then we'll chat about Louisville after that. Yeah, Utah. They got through a tough non-conference slate without Cam Rising. He's expected back now for the Pac-12. Utah's won the past 2 Pac-12 championships. Was potentially in line for a playoff berth the year before those 2 Pac-12 championships, but got blown out by Justin Herbert and the Oregon Ducks. Is this the year? Is this the year that Utah makes a playoff run?
No. As I said earlier, Shedeur Sanders and Caleb Williams are in the Heisman hunt. Any team in the Pac-12 has to get past those two. They're not. As much as I want to see Utah up there, I think they're third in the conference.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think really it comes down to Colorado and USC in my eyes, as far as the Pac-12 goes, and I just don't think any other team can really compete with those two right now. I'm gonna go on a limb and probably say I feel like Colorado's gonna end up taking it.
I think so too.
Oh, I like that. I like hearing that.
Hot right now, and I don't think they're gonna lose that. I mean, there's
Um,
lose their best player, they're still really good.
but yeah, Utah. I do. I think if it's going to be someone that's going to upset the balance, it actually could be Utah. I am worried about their secondary. Doesn't do well when teams run play action against them. They kind of bite a lot, and that makes their defense not as good as we're used to it being. But still a lot to like about this team. I'm excited to see what Cam Rising's going to bring to the offense because the offense has been kind of lacking so far. But when you're shuffling around backup quarterbacks, it's bound to happen. Louisville off to a strong start under the Jeff Brom era. Fans were very excited to have him back. But is Louisville ready to compete for the ACC?
I mean, ACC is wide open, but like I said before, you got to get past Florida State. You got to get past Clemson. I don't think this team. I think this team has the recruits to do that. Scott Satterfield was an excellent recruiter. Got a bunch of highly touted recruits in, and then left. And I think that was their issue was he did not coach very well. I think they can compete now with Brom, but I don't see anyone getting past Florida State or Clemson.
But keep in mind, Louisville doesn't have Florida State or Clemson on the schedule this year.
They're gonna have
That's
to
huge
see him
for
in
them.
the championship at some point.
Let's
Yeah.
see, buddy. There's a lot of teams in that division right now
Yeah.
that are in the talks, and who's real, who's not. I just don't see Louisville doing it.
But yeah, I don't know. That's one to watch out for, though. I'm very curious to see
I mean, I think
how they can do.
you think Louisville beats Clemson. That'll answer the question right there.
Oh yeah, I mean they won't, but I
Right.
do think you may have to watch for them to make the ACC championship just because of how the schedule is shaped out for them. Very, very advantageous. I am concerned about the defense, though. They gave up a lot of points to Georgia Tech, allowed Indiana to almost come back. They tend to lack consistency. Now, you know what? Let's go over. Look here at a few more interesting teams. How about we talk about Washington State, Duke, and Kansas? Let's start with Washington State. Washington State beat Wisconsin already. That's a huge deal. And they're another team that got completely screwed over by conference realignment. Are they ready
Well,
to compete for the Pac-12?
the Pac-4.
Pac 2.
Yeah, Pac-2 now.
Good
They
luck
got
in
it.
the Mountain West. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, get Hawaii in there. Go on a vacation every year for. It'd be great. Students would come there. You get some good recruits for that, I think. No, they're not real. Next question.
Hey, you know what? Watch for them. I think they could compete in the top 6 in the Pac-12. One name I did not mention in the list was Oregon State. Can they compete? Because they looked good last year. Now they added DJ Uyunglele,
No, they're not.
America's team.
They're not gonna get past the top 2, maybe not even the top 3. But their coach is up for Michigan State's coaching job. It's gonna take a lot of money to pry him away from his alma mater at Oregon State. But I think he's playing for another coaching position at this point.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I mean, he does like it there, and I think he's built a good program. I mean, they have a good defense, strong offensive line, best offensive line in the conference, and I think that means something. They have a good, strong run game as well. The one thing they were missing last year as a quarterback, Uyunglele seems to be ready to fill that role. And talking to someone that works for a program within the Pac-12, he told me that it wasn't USC or Oregon he was most scared of. He was actually most scared of Oregon State. So that was very interesting to me. Moving on to other teams we mentioned we would talk about, Duke blew out Clemson, beaten by 21 points in the
Game.
opening. massive surprise. Is Duke, of all teams, ready to compete for the ACC?
I think they're more competitive than they have been. It's
I really
Florida
think what
State's division to lose.
I really think what it comes down to is that everybody's jumping on Duke, thinking they're so great. I just think everybody overrated Clemson coming into the season. They thought they were going to be something that they're not. That's evident. So I think everybody's giving Duke all this credit, but down the line they'll have to play these teams. Definitely going to have to play North Carolina. Definitely going to have to play one of these, Florida State, Miami, and I just don't think they get through these games without making too many, costly mistakes and losing games.
But the question is, can Duke actually finish ranked?
Yeah, I can see them in the
Possibly.
top.
Yeah, I think they could do that. I do think
If not,
Florida
just
State would be a
outside.
big hurdle to overcome.
2020 range.
Duke does provide quite the trap game for Notre Dame, playing Notre Dame the week after Ohio State.
Yep.
It's not a trap if they already lost.
Oh man, we better not get that conversation started. All right, fine. The last one, the Kansas Jayhawks. Everyone considers Texas the team to be in the Big 12 now. Oklahoma's probably who they would think is next. But are the Kansas Jayhawks ready to compete for a Big 12 championship?
Next
I
year.
think so.
Next year.
Yeah. I mean, you saw what they did last year and how hot they started. I think they can, but they're gonna have to get past a tough Texas team.
Yeah, then that's it right there. They're not getting past Texas, and they're definitely not getting past Oklahoma. Now, next year, we can start talking about Kansas being the favorites to win the division. I mean, realistically, hopefully that I don't know enough about their class, but hopefully they're underclassmen and they can retain a lot of them. And
this is a group of seniors. Definitely a lot of seniors on the team. A lot of experienced players. And I think that's one of the things that makes a team dangerous in the Big 12. You got a lot of experienced guys back. You can go on a run. Again, we're talking about teams that could potentially upset the balance here between Texas and Oklahoma. I feel like if it's a team that's not one of those two to win the Big 12, it's got to be Kansas.
yeah, but yeah, they're not going through Texas or Oklahoma.
All right, so that brings us to those surprises. Now, getting back to this list here, let's talk about teams that like in conferences that aren't getting an automatic bid, but one of these conferences will get a bid to a New Year's Six Bowl. So you look at the list here, we have Air Force, we have Marshall, we have Fresno State, we have Liberty, Memphis, and Georgia State here. All undefeated still. If you had to pick between one of these six teams, which one's making the run in the New Year's Six Bowl this year?
Before we continue, back to Duke for a second. Their coach is actually the favorite to go to Michigan State. Forgot to say that earlier.
It is far too early to talk about.
To answer your question, though, I think Marshall could end up there. They last year they beat Notre Dame. They returned a lot of players. I think they got a decent team.
I'd go on a limb and say Memphis. Memphis is always one of those programs you don't think anything of them, and then all of a sudden they're like 12th in the nation, and you're like, what? Where did this come from? They tend to linger, so I can see Memphis making a run.
Yeah, and actually Memphis and Marshall both have good tests. Marshall plays Virginia Tech at home this weekend, and Memphis plays Missouri in the Dome in St. Louis for some reason. I don't know why that game exists, but it's happening. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Tune in prime time on ESPN, Memphis and Missouri in the Dome. That's fantastic. That's happening.
I'm surprised that Dome is still standing, to be honest.
I know, right? We'll see what's left of it. But yeah, I've got Fresno State. They've already beaten Purdue, and I mean they just did. They did things that to Arizona State that I'm not even sure they could air on TV. Forced 7 turnovers against them in that game. Tedford can coach. Aaron Rodgers, old coach back in college at one point. Fresno State looks like a tough team, and I think they could be the one to make a run. And let's take a moment to talk about the fact that James Madison is here, also very good, and yet they will not get this opportunity because of silly NCAA rules. How
I think that's
stupid.
stupid. They had a really good year last year.
Yeah.
They're off to a great start this year. When does that bowl ban end?
I think next year is when they can finally compete in bowls.
I think James Madison is building something.
Yeah.
I
And
think they
really technically they won the Sun Belt East last year. But they weren't able to compete in the conference championship because of the bowl ban and because the bowl, the waiting period or whatever it's called in the NCAA.
they should just get rid of that. Just if you're good enough to win a division your first year, just let it ride, you know?
Yes, I agree.
Give it to them.
Give it to them. All
Also, we
right.
didn't talk about Liberty.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Hey, none of us picked them. None of us
Yeah.
picked them to make a New Year's Six bowl. That being
I
said,
think if Hugh Freeze was still there, I think it would have.
Hugh Freeze is at Auburn, bro.
I know that's why I said if Hugh Freeze was still there, then they would have
Auburn,
probably.
But guess what though? They got Jamie Chadwell, Coastal Carolina's old coach. They're gonna keep rolling.
Maybe we'll see.
Mullets and everything. Yeah, Liberty's schedule is very easy, by the way. They really could go undefeated and still not make it. So we'll have to see what happens there. But
liberty.
finally here, I mean, we touched on already. Deion Sanders at Colorado. Now, obviously, I was in Colorado to see them play Nebraska, and it was absolutely electric. It was a complete difference compared to last year when I saw them a 1-11 team playing TCU and getting blown out. There's just so much optimism, but I want to hear what you guys have to say. I mean, because this has been a remarkable turnaround.
I think that Colorado is going to win Pac-12. Pat said it earlier.
Hey, there we go.
I said it earlier. I think Colorado's winning the Pac-12, but I think they're probably going to be looking at the national championship game. They're hot. I don't think you've seen a team this hot in a long time.
Travis Hunter with a lacerated liver kind of hurts.
That's what they said, 2-3 weeks. So
Yep.
I don't take it too seriously. Hopefully he'll get back on the field sooner than later. But even without him, that team is so dangerous. Both the Sanders brothers, those guys are really good at what they do.
Equally as good as his dad.
Yeah, and I mean they just got weapons everywhere. All these guys transfer there. Before the season even started, it's kind of like you're looking at them like, oh no, this is a gimmick. But no, I mean Dion likes to fire people, and then he gets the kind of people you want on a team, to build around. And next thing you know, he's got I think probably a top 4 team after this week.
They brought in talent and really like all those guys that are starting, in order to be a starter for a Deion Sanders team, you gotta love ball. And like, if you're a top recruit, you go in there, you aren't gonna just start because you're good. You gotta love ball.
They kicked out all the when he got there, he's like, yeah, we gotta make room.
And he said right away, the standard's the standard. And the standard don't change.
88 transfers into the program.
And by the way, Shador maneuvers the pocket like no other person I've seen. I've been to other college games, I've been to NFL games. I mean, it's just ridiculous how he moves around, but keeps his eyes downfield. And by the second half, like those Nebraska defensive linemen were just too tired. They couldn't keep up with him anymore. And that's when they started lighting people up.
I think the way I look at it too, like as far as the playoff goes, I'm looking at teams and based on the big conferences. And you look at the SEC, obviously Georgia's clearly the team that's really running away with it right now. You look at the Big Ten, you got Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. So there's a little bit in there. I think it will come down to Ohio State, Michigan, and Thanksgiving. But when you look at the Pac-12, it comes down to USC and Colorado pretty plainly. And I really can see Colorado coming in there and just smacking USC around like Caleb Williams.
This is our division. This is our conference.
Yeah. he comes in there and he's like, thinking I'm a hot shot. I'm gonna win the Heisman. And then the Sanders brothers and Travis Hunter come in there and they smack them. They come in there and just check their egos. And I think that's basically gonna set the tone for the playoff when they do that.
Isn't that like next weekend?
Yeah,
No?
that's coming up September 30th, big noon on Fox.
What are you guys doing? You want to watch the game together?
Big 9:30.
Yep.
That's
I'll
gonna
tell you what. So like they were the big dude on Fox when I was there too. And that was a weird thing. Tailgating at 8 a.m., getting sunburned at an 8 a.m. tailgate. You're in the game and like you're partway through the first quarter. You think it's like 1 o'clock. You look down at your watch at your phone and think, oh, wait, guys, it's only 10:30 in the morning still.
Was it
What
hot?
time to be alive?
It got hot as the day went on.
So I was at the Ohio State Youngstown State game when you were at Colorado, right? And I could not. It's like 70 some degrees, 72 in Columbus, right? And we were in the north end zone, I believe is what it was, opposite of Blocko. But I'm sitting out there, and it's not that hot out, but it's like kicking my butt, man. I'm sweating bullets. Me and my buddy are sitting there. We're like, oh, we got to get out of this heat, man. We can the stands getting beers, but yeah, it was
While
kind
you
of.
guys were at the game, your games, I was on a beach in Virginia.
Mm.
Ooh. Yeah. By the way, although you guys are probably about to do the same thing to me, because like I was in like a balcony spot, so like we were covered and
Oh,
we
nice.
had pretty nice, comfortable seats.
I was right in the sun, man. It had me. We were in those bleachers. It was cool though. It was a good game.
Yeah.
You know what game we should have gotten tickets to?
This week's game.
Yes.
I tried, but
No,
It's so
yeah,
expensive.
there's no way we're getting tickets to this one. This is just, which by the way, I mean it's probably good that we're not going to be there because we don't want to deal with dirty Oklahoma fans. But
No,
wait a
the
minute.
other. Hey, Dingus.
we're talking about
Dingus.
Ohio State Notre Dame, fool.
Oh, you're talking about locally. Yeah, those tickets are expensive.
I-
By the way, Oklahoma Cincinnati though did drop. It's not $86 a ticket instead of like 300 like it was before.
I think the Notre Dame tickets, the like cheapest ones I saw were like $500.
Yeah. It's
It's
because everybody knows it's going to be an undefeated matchup going in. I mean, there was OSU had their scare, and Notre
Oh.
Dame started off slow with.
it's a rivalry. I think Ohio State's thing is just everybody getting on the same page and getting meshed. Obviously, Kyle McCord was Marvin Harrison's quarterback in high school, so they already have a relationship, but nobody else on that team had a relationship with him. And then you also got the coach playing around with, should have played Devin Brown or should I play Kyle McCord? I'm a firm believer in sticking with a quarterback and carrying him through until you have to bench him.
It definitely seemed like the offense picked up when they actually finally named a starter.
They're cutting.
But on the other side, Notre Dame's really strong up front, especially the offensive line. That's going to help them hold the ball and control the clock, and I think that's what's scary for Ohio State.
Joe Alt has allowed 0 pressures this season.
Yeah, the offensive line
pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's who's going to get tired first.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who's going to make the most?
Whose defense is going to get tired first? That's what it's going to come down to.
That's a question.
Yeah. We'll see, man. How it goes. Obviously I'm confident, but I'm not going to say anything else. We'll just we'll let time tell.
Every time I talk shit, it bites me in the ass. So I'm not saying a damn thing.
Yeah.
I
just gotta say, I've been sitting here watching your helmet spin the whole time.
No, I know. It's pretty impressive how long that thing spins, huh?
Yeah.
Right.
I've been watching it too.
Don't forget though, Miami took him down.
Irrelevant.
All right. Well, that's the show.
Yeah.
Justin just ruined it.
We're rambling.
Talking about the Miami Redhawks. Not even the good Miami.
Yeah.
They are the real Miami, though. I don't care what the scoreboard says.
All right. Well, that is the show. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe. If you want to join the conversation, feel free to comment. Tell your friends about us. We are trying to grow this channel.
Help us jobs.
Yeah, help us quit our jobs. That's the main thing with this. So Catch you guys next time.